So if you haven't heard, Sonos announced recently that its Q3 2022 revenue numbers didn't look so great. So we've heard from a number of integrators already about this, wondering if this is some sort of a sign of an impending recession. The full article on Sonos's Q3 report is live right now on CEPro.com, but I wanted to run this by you two. We have a couple of CE Pro editors here. Jason and Bob, how protected is the high-end market from the downturn right now? And do you think that there's any credibility to this idea that, this is a sign of a recession?
Well, to answer your question, I do think that integrators who are dealing at the ultra high end are going to be insulated. They always have been. And so there will be that ultra high end market will continue. The key is here that Sonos is pervasive amongst all integrators. So we're talking about, they're a couple $100, $300 sound bars and speakers and those sorts of things. So a lot of integrators have migrated into this middle market as their bread and butter. So, we kind of knew this was going to happen. Think about it. When the pandemic hit, they documented there was a huge transfer of money that was previously spent on dining and travel that had transferred to in-home purchases. So it was only a matter of time before it kind of flipped back. And that was one thing I thought was really fascinating from the Sonos report, that they specifically cited data that showed that people have migrated from spending money that was being spent on in-home purchases to travel again. And I thought they were very frank and open, questioning any particular missteps that they may have made on their own. They specifically pointed out the Ray soundbar launch not going well at all, which I thought was fascinating for them. And this was really the first public company in the space that is showing a chink in the armor, so to speak. We've been seeing nothing but positive numbers. So I don't know, Bob, what do you think?
I think all we can say right now, it's probably a blip on the radar. I think we need more information to confirm whether we are entering into a recession or if something maybe even bigger is happening long term in terms of the economy. Right now, the unemployment numbers are as low as they've been since before the pandemic. And I do agree with that assessment that people are probably spending their money on vacation. People have quarantined for a couple of years now. They're out spending money, visiting family and friends. So until we know more, which we will probably know in the fall, I would say it's a blip on the radar.
So I did hear something that I thought was fascinating. So the integrators who have reached out to me, they've all said we're still busier than ever. So they haven't said they haven't seen that effect directly on their business. They were just kind of questioning. But I thought this was interesting, as one guy was saying specifically, hey, the key is be a high-end integrator in also a resort market. So now you're going to catch part of that travel budget also that people are going to be spending, and you're still going to maintain that affluent clientele.
I would even say that based on, and this isn't any statistic by any means, but I talk with my wife. My wife's in the dental industry. That business has gone soft, and her employer owns multiple offices, north of Boston here. And they're all having a hard time scheduling appointments. And I would say, even my own experience personally, I missed a doctor's appointment earlier this year because I completely spaced on it. I was able to call the doctor and rebook for the next day because people aren't, going to doctor's visits, dentist visits, and whatever else. They're out of town. They're visiting family and friends.
And Bob, we know how rare it is for you to space on anything.
Yeah,
No comment from Bob.
Yeah, Space is my middle name.
So, so guys, we covered a bit about the high-end market. How about the middle market? Is that, Sonos's report showing poor sales a reflection of the middle market falling, or will it be widespread?
I think, as Bob said, we still have to wait, I think, to see kind of the full evidence, but I would think that they've done their homework, and for them to openly say, look, we see a softness that's happening here in our product line. Now, they did also attribute the fact that they're having some supply chain issues with some products, and that could be part of what's happening. But in particular, they had 2 launches, the Ray and the Roam, that both of which fell pretty flat, and they're both kind of in that middle market space. So we'll have to do a little more investigation to hear from integrators who are specifically targeting the middle market. So far, I haven't heard from many integrators who've seen that softness, but it's interesting. They're specifically, we're seeing it, Sonos reported that they were seeing it from the retail market specifically.
Yeah, I
Softness.
spoke to, excuse me, I spoke to a rep distributor yesterday, and we were talking a bit about the economy, and he dismissed the idea that the market softening. He foresees the industry to continue to plow ahead.
So I know that Jason talked about this a moment ago, but yet Sonos, had that tremendous supply chain backlog, especially on its ARC product. So I'm just curious to know, do you two think that maybe this talk about a recession or this talk about an economic downturn as a result of Sonos announcing these kind of numbers, do you think it's really just having to do more with supply chain issues? And where do you think the balance is struck there in terms of our prognostications here?
Well, it is interesting because remember, Sonos is a company that sells direct, but then they also sell through the custom installation channel. And they did specifically point out, Patrick Spence, the CEO, said that the demand from the installation community is still remaining very strong, particularly for the ARC product. So this softness could just be a reflection. Again, they did pinpoint the retail softness, both in sales and requests for inventory from their retail partners. So it could be a reflection that as you said, Adam, the middle market is softening for the DIY space, but we will continue to see demand on the custom installation side.
Awesome, guys. I appreciate your time. Like I said before, that full article on Sonos's Q3 report is available right now on cepro.com. Thanks, guys.